Okay, now let's go through simplifying some square roots. And so notice that these are not perfect squares, so there is not two numbers that are the same that multiply out to 72. And so it makes it a little bit harder. So what we have to do is we have to learn how to break this down into numbers that we can take out the square roots. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do this. There's kind of a slow way and a fast way. So we're going to go up here a little bit to have some room. So I'm going to go ahead and write my 72. What we're going to do is we're going to break it down. So what two numbers multiply out to 72? Well, you might know already. You might know that 8 times 9 is 72. 8 then can be broken down to 4 and 2. Notice that this is now a prime number. And this 4 can be broken down to 2 and 2. So we have our prime numbers down here. So notice now, so far we have 2 times 2 times 2. So we have 2 times 2 times 2. And then we can break down our 9 into 3 times 3. These are prime numbers as well. So now we have, if we were to multiply all these three numbers out, we would end up with 72. So these are our prime numbers. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And then to do a square root, if we have two numbers that are exactly the same, like we have there, we can cross them out and take one out of the square root. Notice here we have two numbers that are the same, cross them out, take one of them outside the square root. Notice that's a multiplication there. And then what do we have left under the square root? Well, we still have this number left, so that would stay under the square root. So now we have 2 times 3 square root of 2, and 2 times 3, of course, is 6. So this would reduce down to 6 square root of 2. But let me show you a different way. So let's go back to 72. That is also 2 times 36. We know that the square root of 36 is 6 because 6 times 6 is 36. So I can rewrite 72, so I'm going to do it a little differently over here, as 2 times 36. And we know this square root is 6, so I can take it out as 6, and then I'm left with 2. And notice that these two answers are now the same. So shortcut, long way, doesn't matter which way that you do it, you should get the same answer, of course. Okay, square root of 5 times the square root of 60. So one thing that you do is if these are both square roots and you're multiplying, you can actually multiply the inside. Now, that does mean if I have the square root of 2 times the cube root of 5, these I cannot combine together. I cannot multiply those together because this is a cube root and this is a square root. So the roots have to be the same for me to be able to apply this property. And so now we have 5 times 60. So I could multiply those, but instead of multiplying them, I'm going to just rewrite it as 5 times 60. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the 60. So then the 60 becomes 5 times 2 times 30. And the 30 becomes 5 times 2 times 5 times 6. And then the 6 becomes, notice all the other numbers stay the same, 5, 2, and 5 in front. And then the 6 becomes 3 times 2. So now we have all these different numbers here. So we have all this different stuff here. But notice we have 2 5s, so I can take one out. We have 2 2s, so I can take another one out, another 2 out. And then I have 3 left over, so square root of 3. 5 times 2 is 10. So that would be 10 square root of 3. So we have it out that way. Now, if I had multiplied those together, I would have had square root of 300. Of course, 300 is 100 times 3. I can take out a 10 because 10 times 10 is 100. And I have 10 square root of 3, which is exactly what I had over here. Now notice this way is faster, but you have to know all the rules if you do it that way. So you have to make sure that you understand the rules. Okay, let's do one more, and then we'll go to a few more problems at the end here. We have the square root of 88 over the square root of 18. It's easier to reduce first before I try to take anything out. You'll notice that 2 goes into both of those, so I can divide both of those numbers by 2. So I have 44 over 9. I can see this is a perfect square, so I'm going to kind of leave that alone. I'm going to about this one now, and I'm going to do it the faster way. So I want you to see kind of how to do that. 44 is really 4 times 11 over 9. Notice that this is a perfect square, this is a perfect square, so I can take both of those out. So I have 2 because the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. Notice that 3 stays on bottom because the 9 here is down in the denominator. And then all we have left is 11 and under the square root. So that would be my answer, 2/3 square root of 11. Okay, so we'll go into the next set of problems on the next video.